Welcome to another very special episode of Profit Made Simple. Today we have Matt Gorman from My Good Feeling. Welcome, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, absolute pleasure. I want to ask you first and foremost, you've got this remarkable business right now. You've got an incredible space. It's purpose-built. You've got a beautiful reformer studio. You've got hundreds of members, a world-class team. In your wildest imagination, would you have believed this was true a few years ago?
No. And when you say it like that, it hits home too. It's like I'm reflecting as you saying that, going like, this is my space that you're describing. And yeah, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we'd be where we are right now.
It looked pretty different about 5 years ago, didn't it?
Looked very different about 5
Take
years
us back.
ago. Where do you want to start? How long have we got?
Let's take us back to the origins. It wasn't My Good Feeling then. It was still MGF when I met you. And we've done a really beautiful rebrand. You've done a phenomenal job on that. But take us back to the origin. Where did this business start? Why did it start? And what was the vision you had for the business there and then?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, 2015 was when the business started. Wow. And it was MG Fit. MG Fit was the name. So
why MG?
MG, Matt Gorman, the business, it was me. And if I was to start a business again today, I would not put my name in it. That is for sure.
Good lesson out there for everyone.
One big lesson that I learned very, very quickly. But it was MG Fit, and it was everything that I wanted it to be. I could make it. So I guess having the freedom and flexibility and power to create what I wanted to do, and I loved health. I loved fitness. I loved sport. Like I still remember back in those days, every second Saturday we'd go to the beach and our warm-up would be a 30-minute game of touch footy. And then we go, guys, we're going to do the session. So it was just, I wanted to be able to have this brand that I could be proud of that helped people feel better about themselves. And it wasn't necessarily, it had to be about weight loss. Because I think in my own journey, you know, I came from a competitive rugby league background. I was always, I'm still super competitive. Ask any of my friends and family.
I wouldn't believe it for a second.
No, not at all. My son has to win the journey from the car door to the front door. So that's how competitive he's already gotten.
We were saying that he's just a mini you.
Yeah, my poor parents. So it was just about having this place that I could let people feel what it felt like to be part of something that made me feel better. And I think that was the big thing for me was, and it probably ties into it ties into the reason when we changed names, you know, down the track, went from MG Fit to My Good Feeling, because we wanted to be people's good feeling. And I guess when it was MG Fit, it was me trying to do that. But as we grew, as the brand grew, it was more than just me doing that. You know, we have a team, we have an amazing, powerful team now that helps do that for our members. And that was the reason really I started it. I wanted to do something that I could love every day and not feel like it was a chore.
Beautiful, beautiful starting point. You didn't start in a fantastic facility though, did you?
Not at all.
It was much more humble beginnings.
Yeah. So I think I started the business with I had a $10,000 loan that I had to buy a car. And so I had a car debt and I had about $500 to my name. And one of a mate of mine, he's actually a member now at my gym. He used to be a personal trainer, turned wedding photographer, and he had this bunch of boot camp equipment, some sandbags. We actually just had to throw one out yesterday. It was quite sad. It's part of the original equipment. It's just finally caved. Some sandbags, a couple of kettlebells, a couple of dumbbells. And he just sold it. He said, man, I'll sell you the lot for $500. And I went, done. So that was my starting. I had a Mitsubishi Lancer that used to ride around like the back had been lowered and the front had been raised with all the equipment in the back. And we just used parks. So I had a couple of different parks and actually had a lease with a school. They charged me $30 for the hour to use the school.
Would have been a lot for you back then.
It was, because I'm like, all right, I've got to commit to this for a term. That's $300 for the term. And I'm going, I don't have a member yet. So I've got to find another, I've got to get a member in to replace that. But the church hall, that was a big part of it. So yeah, we started with that and made I ran 6 sessions a week. My very first 8-week boot camp I launched was Monday morning, Wednesday morning, Friday morning, Tuesday, Thursday evenings, and then a Saturday beach session. And yeah, that was the beginning of a very long and challenging but rewarding journey.
Well, I love hearing that, and I know this will resonate with a lot of our listeners and people watching, because maybe they're in a similar place to where you were, and then they look and it didn't just happen like this. It's obviously has been a long journey. Absolutely. You've had to make many sacrifices and big decisions along the way to get there. But what hasn't changed is why the place exists.
Absolutely.
And that is to elicit that good feeling. It's to be the best part of the day. It's to be part of something special. How did you go from running it out of the back of your car with a handful of secondhand equipment to now it being what it is today? What were the steps involved? How did you grow the business when you had so little in the way of resources?
I made a lot of mistakes.
Let's unpack some of those.
Mate, how long do we have?
The name is one of the mistakes.
Absolutely.
What other mistakes do you want to share with our listeners?
Look, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that mistakes are a good thing in business as long as you learn from them. And yes. If you don't learn from them and you still keep making the same mistakes, well, then
that's stupidity.
That's your own. You're your own worst enemy, and you already got yourself to blame. But mistakes that led to right decisions is probably where that goes. And, I tried to grow the brand for a long, long time. It's probably not really a mistake. I was trying to do as little as possible and make it as big as possible by doing as little as possible. But you make poor decisions. You try things don't work. You navigate, you tweak things. And I think that's the beautiful thing about when it's your own business and you're not tied to any certain rules or franchise styles or whatever it might be. It really allows you to just pivot, make errors, learn from them, fix them, find things that work, go, wow, that's great, run with it, see where it takes you and have that freedom in the journey. But, I've done all sorts of things when it comes back to mistakes. I've done poor hires. I've let good hires go. As in missed out on good hiring opportunities. Tried to do everything myself for too long. Tried to fit, 9 days into a 7-day week without having a day off. Not outsourced early enough.
Yeah.
That's probably a big one. I think that I learned that lesson that, it's okay not to do it all. In the beginning, you roll up your sleeves and you do because, every single penny counts. Like I just said, I got the secondhand equipment. But you need to sort of get to a point where you go, okay, I need help on this. What's one of my biggest weaknesses that if I outsource that, it will give me time to improve more of what I'm good at. And that risk is, everything's a risk, but there's less risk to it and it could actually become a very positive outcome.
Love that. Let's stay there for a little bit because you've mentioned a couple of things that I think are very interrelated. Number one, for a long period of time, you did everything.
Yeah.
And that slowed you down, that held you back. The second thing is there was maybe a reluctance or there was a block to delegation or outsourcing.
Yeah.
What enabled you to overcome that initial resistance and actually go, you know what, for me to grow, I'm going to have to embrace outsourcing or delegation or building a team or actually relinquishing some of the control that I'm just holding on to right now?
Probably burnout.
Yeah. Okay.
I think coming back to what I said before about I started the brand because I wanted to create a space that people felt like they could come and it was the best part of the day. It gave them that good feeling. And when you have times where you go, this isn't even my good feeling. You go, I'm burning out. Like I'm just going like the alarm's going off and you go, up we get again. And then, it's times like that. I think you go, you have to really go back and reflect of like, why am I doing this? Okay. It's okay not to do everything yourself. And that took me a long time to work out. I didn't have
What helped you work that out? What made, obviously the burnout. So there was enough pain that it was just like, this is unsustainable. I cannot continue this way. So that's one of the reasons you were almost forced into it because it was either that or, how long could we keep going for?
Yeah.
What else helped you realize that? And more importantly, what also helped you then go and go, you know what, I'm going to not do everything myself?
Yeah, obviously, as I mentioned, burnout was number one. I think the second, probably one of the biggest things was I had started to do a bit of sort of paid ads marketing. And we didn't do a paid ad. I did a couple of boosted posts in the start day, put a post up with a little, actually one of my mates sent me, he goes, I can't believe it's been 10 years since this was the first ad that came up. 9 years since it was the first ad. And it's literally like just some Google image of a pair of boxing gloves and written on it, $2.99, 8-week boot camp challenge. And he goes, I can't believe you had that. And I'm like, if you believe it or not, that was probably the first ad that I tried to boost, having no idea what I was doing. Coming back to mistakes, there's plenty of money being wasted in boosting ads that are not worth boosting. So doing that, but then actually hitting something and going, wow, I've got leads coming in, I've got opportunities I'm spending money to get, but then I'm not having the time to call them because I'm like, well, I can't call the lead because if I don't have the program, I don't have anything to offer the guys that are here tonight. If I don't have the lease sort of in place, if I don't have the personal training session programs done, because I was doing a lot of PT early on as well, it was just like the business would go on without them for that week, but without calling the leads, but it was never a long term. So it was just like, it got to the point where I'm like, I can't do everything.
Yeah.
And I actually had a business reach out about doing a corporate sort of deal where I'd actually come out to their workplace on a Friday morning. They were based in Leichhardt, 8 a.m., trained 25 of their staff. And it was a good offer. Like corporate offers, there's good money in being paid for corporate to come out, spend an hour and come back. And I was like, I can't take that because I have to coach my class. And that was the first class that I then went, you know what? I need to get another coach so that I could go, okay, I can pay this coach to coach my 2 Friday morning classes. I can go there. I slept in on a weekday to like 6 a.m. for the first time in God knows how long. And it was amazing. So I think just those little things added up and really started to go, okay, I need to bring someone in. And then I brought someone in who was studying nutrition. I was like, there's an opportunity to tap into more nutrition. I'm not qualified in nutrition. I have an understanding in nutrition like most trainers do, or should hopefully have. Hopefully. But she was studying nutrition at university. She was in her final year. So I was like, awesome. We've got opportunity to do more for our clients. We can start being more of like, hey, if it's food that you're having problems with, you can get that here. So we started, I guess, servicing more.
So first it came through just pain, right? Just you were burning out, you were waking up early. It was a relentless on your schedule. Then the second part of it for you was, well, there's missed opportunities. I'm missing calling leads. I'm missing taking up corporate gigs. And then the third part for you is the realization that, hey, by bringing people in, we can actually add more. We can actually produce a better experience, a better service, because it's not dependent on me. Now I've got this outside expertise that can improve what we're currently doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And look back, I wish I had done it sooner.
We always do. Now, you've been in the fitness profit coaching programs on 2 occasions now.
I have.
What's been the catalyst for you to reach out on each occasion? And they were at 2 distinct stages of your business as well.
Yep.
And then what has been the breakthroughs that you've experienced as a result of having that coaching?
Yeah, cool. I guess a bit to unpack on that.
Yeah, there's a
lot. The first time I reached out was I hit a roadblock. I just kind of become stagnant. We had an awesome growth. I'd just gone and opened the gym space. So I'd kind of got to this point, like I'd grown the boot camp over the 3 to 4 years from, that $500 bit of equipment and a Facebook post to bring in my first 8 clients that I ran my first boot camp with, to I kind of had this number in my head of, I'm like, I've got to hit 100 members and I'll look for a space. Anyway, I was sitting at about 50, and then I ran this January, get fit for summer or New Year, New You campaign. I think it was actually. It was a 12-week campaign, and they signed up at the beginning of the campaign, and I was offering 1 morning, 1 night class only on the timetable. So anyway, I had a growth of 35 people. I had I think it was 85 or 86 people. So I went into Christmas with 50 people that were all, just casually training through Christmas. And then we ran this January thing. And just grew. Like I ran this offer of like, if you bring a friend for free, I'll give you and them both like $10 off for the entire time. And like, obviously word of mouth was amazing because we were doing everything right at the time. And we got 85 and I went, I'm running 10 classes a week. And if everyone comes on the Monday, I'm like, I've got 2 classes of 40 people if they split evenly, and I was just like, whoa. So I was like, I think I need to start reaching out for a space. And so I got the space directly next door, ironically, to where we were running all of our sessions at that point. I also was paying per hour for my rental that I was using on a hall. And so naturally, by putting more classes on, my rental went up. I was paying $50,000 was what it was worth. $50,000 a year in rent is what the hall rental was costing me.
Yeah, wow.
But I was putting my equipment into a shipping container every morning after the sessions and bringing them out again every afternoon to put in there every evening again after the sessions to then do the same thing the next morning, be there at 4 a.m. to unpack a container for 45 minutes before the guys started turning up for 5 a.m. And that was a big sign that I needed a space. And then I moved into a space and I'm like, I've now got a lease overhead that I can't just call a church and say, hey guys, not using the hall anymore, thanks. So I was like, I need to put like things in place like contracts, not just, hey, every 12 weeks, do you want to sign up again? And have like half the people go, nah, and go, oh, I just lost half my members. So just things like that. And then I was like, this is where I don't have the experience, the knowledge. Enter first time in the program.
So that was the first time. It was that big transition point, and what an exceptional time that would have been for you to just almost double your numbers. You're just hustling. You're being resourceful. We're renting out church halls, parks. We've got shipping containers.
Yeah.
That $500 has gone a long way. You've got a good clientele now. You've opened up this physical space. You've got this lease. You've got this location. But it was also the realization that I know what I don't know.
Yep.
And right now, my current level of knowledge got me here. My hustle, my resourcefulness got me here, but it's not going to get me to that next stage.
Yep.
And what I want is I want to run a booming fitness facility. I want to do things right. All right, who do I know who's doing it right?
Yep. And that's literally how I ended up in the program. I went, I need help. I just started doing some research. Your program popped up. I think this is early days of your program. It was. Your big head popped up on my screen on my phone.
I apologize for that.
Don't worry, you've got to look at my big head when we're doing this, so it's okay. And we had a conversation and I went, yep, this, again, I think at this point I'd started learning more about, and then you've got to spend money. You've got to spend money to make money. I think that's in business, anyone that thinks you can run a business without spending money to make money is,
you can't hold on to it. If you are looking to just save money by never investing in the business, in the mentorship, in the growth, in just getting around people, you're going to hold it hostage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was a good realization that you had pretty early on as well. And in that initial stage, we'll come back because you left the program for a little while, then you came back. In that initial stage, what changed for you either as a business operator or in business in that first period?
I think the biggest thing for me was obviously at that point, one of the big things was as well, I was bringing in team members. I had obviously one staff member who was doing some casual shifts for me while she was finishing uni still. But then it got where, I'm like, I'm bringing in a mums and bubs program at 9:30. And I'm like, we want to, bring in a trainer for that time slot. So I'm not breaking my day into 3 times of having a coach and things like that. So that was probably one of the biggest takeaways I got was instead of being the guy that does it all, transition into the guy that now is leading a team. And I think that was the big thing. And I still stay to today that becoming a better leader is something that I'm trying to strive for every week, every day, leading my team at work, leading my family. Like I've got young kids now, like leadership is something I always want to be improving. I think we can always improve that. And that was a big thing for me that I had to transform from the guy that's doing everything that if someone asks a question, don't worry, mate, I'll do it, to hey, yep, just take that up with that person. They can help you out with that. I can continue doing what I need to do to make sure everything flows. And that was a big thing that came out of stage 1 for me.
Yeah, it's a big thing that a lot of business owners get stuck on is they actually don't have a business. They have a job because it's completely dependent on themselves. quite often they've come in as a technician. They've done all the training, the programming, and done everything. And now all of a sudden you need to become a leader. You need to become an operator.
Yep.
And we speak about it often on this podcast because that's where we really help people make that shift, make that identity shift. But also it's more than identity. It's also giving you the skills and the systems and the support to do so. And that's certainly what you did. I remember very early on, it was designing those systems. So when we bring team members in, there's accountability, there's responsibility, there's standards, and then you removing yourself from the day-to-day to actually manage and lead.
Yeah. I think one of the big things, I hadn't taken a holiday. And one of the big things that I think I did not long after getting in the program was actually take a holiday. And sorry, I had taken a holiday. I put a break between my 12-week programs and said, yeah, guys, the next 12-week program starts in 2 weeks. Everything stopped for 2 weeks. And then I had to rely that these people were going to go, oh, we'll have 2 weeks off and come back. I actually took a holiday and the business was still able to operate. And that was a very nervous time for myself. Yeah. And by the time I came back, I went, like, what an idiot. What were you so nervous about? Like, the team's fine.
We often overstate our importance, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. Still to today, I try and do that just to make sure.
Yeah. It's like, oh, how can the business possibly run without me? And it's like, no, we didn't skip a beat.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you gone? Oh.
Yeah. But that's testament to the systems and the people that you've built. And I love it because, one of the things that we say in our program on this podcast is we want to help you make a ton more profit, but we also want you to have more freedom. And so you experience both. You had the freedom to have a holiday with the family, and guess what? The business didn't fall over.
Did not fall over.
You left the program and then you came back. What drew you back the second time? What were you trying to resolve? Was there a constraint? Was there a bottleneck? What led you to making that decision to come back for a second time?
Yeah, so I actually got to a pretty down space, and I'm not talking mental health wise, but in terms of the business, I was over it. I was done. I was ready to walk.
I remember having that beer with you. It was after a Filex conference in Melbourne, and you were at Crossroads.
Mate, I was. So I had bought my ticket to Filex 3 or 4 months prior with the this will be good. I can go down there. And I was just starting to get this part where I'm like, I need to do something again. And so I bought this ticket to Filex going like, this is good. It's interstate, so I'll get away for a couple of days and I'll just be in the zone, be present and really focus on the business and pull out of it what I need. And 3 months in advance is great because you commit to it, but it's also another 3 months of things
a long time
unfolding. And during that time, I had 2 of my trainers, they went on a long holiday, and then the day they got back, I actually went on a long holiday. So the business was in an okay position from that regard. Actually, sorry, I bought the ticket after I got back from that holiday because I got in this down place because I actually had to let a staff member go. And ironically, this was the staff member that had been with me for 5 years. And that hurt because one, I was very close with them, her and her partner actually that I had to let go. It was very close with them. So that was obviously a personal thing. And then I just think the outlash or the fallback of that just drove me down to like, is this worth it? And I kind of forgot why I was doing things. I forgot why I started the brand. I got caught up in letting something that, had really turned into a cancer for the business pull me down, and it got me in this dark space. And mate, by the time I flew down to Filex, in my head, I was like, who can I network with down here to go and work for within the fitness industry? That was the headspace I had. Like, I was like, I'm done. Like, I network with someone. Maybe I can find someone who wants to buy another gym. I can, I was down there with with
that intention.
Yeah.
One foot was out, or more than 1 foot was out.
I think I even had, if I remember correctly, I actually think I had printed a resume copy off that was actually in my laptop bag that I had with me. I've got that laptop bag with me today. There's no resume. Can confirm.
How things have changed.
So yeah, mate, and credit where credit's due. Filex, fantastic conference. Maybe it was the beer that we had as well. I came back, so 72 hours later, I came back to Sydney with a just completely different mindset. And I was just like, I'd been so caught up in my own thoughts that I didn't need to be, that I'd forgotten why I was doing things. And it was Filex, and I actually had a great conversation with Jen, one of your team members within the program as well. And I actually still remember that when you'd said to her that, oh, Matt's a bit unsure about where, she just turned around and said, what's wrong with you? like why? Like just straight away, just chirpy as like, what's wrong with you? Why would you possibly want to leave this space? Why would you possibly want to have a job? And I think about that now and think, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I really do. And so, off the back of that, enter second time into the program.
Really great insight there. And I just want to highlight it for anyone listening, watching right now is often when you're in these difficult situations, these stressful, parts in the business where you just feel like you're chewing glass, right? And for you, it was losing two valuable team members at the time, people that you had a close relationship with, a really big connection. And then there's a lot of fallout. And at the time, it feels enormous, right? You're like waking up every day and it's like, I'm going to have to talk to more clients about this. I'm going to have to handle more cancellations. I'm going to have to try find some staff. I've got to put out more fires. And in the moment, it feels insurmountable. It feels like this enormous just mountain that you've got to climb. But really, when you put it in the context of why you started and why you exist, it's a little pebble.
At best.
At best.
Yeah.
But at the time, you didn't have that perspective because you're in the mire, you're in the shit. And it was great that you got out of the actual day-to-day to go down to Filex, just get into it. We talked off camera about the importance of getting into other spaces, removing yourself from the day-to-day, go to the conference interstate or overseas. And it's there that you actually got a new and refreshing perspective, or probably just a reminder more than anything else.
Yeah.
And that was the catalyst. Now, in the second stage in the program itself, you ended up doing some incredible things. You ended up rebranding. You ended up bringing on just a phenomenal team. And I've met many of your team members and they're absolute superstars.
Yeah.
And you really, you went to another level.
Yeah.
How did you get to that other level? Because there's a lot of people out there that want to get to that next level. What advice would you give to them?
Oh, don't stress the little things. That's one for sure. I think if we talk about that situation we were speaking about with the staff, I held on making that decision. I held off, making that decision for so long because I was so worried about what others would think. I was so worried about what would the repercussions be? And you know what? Holding off on that decision, the repercussions were occurring in front of my face. We were getting cancellations.
Yeah.
And I was defending it, being like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. And then you go, well, that's the sixth person that's cancelled and said that thing. So I think one would be being proactive, not reactive. Two, making the tough decisions. You have to make the tough decisions. I think it took me a long time to make that. We spoke about at the start of this, we spoke about making mistakes in business. And one of the mistakes was not making the hard decisions soon enough in that scenario. And it just allowed me I came back in and I was like, okay, there's a light at the end of this tunnel. We all have our ups and downs. That's business, right? If anyone tells you every day in business is a great day, then they're lying to you.
Absolutely.
Or they're not in business.
Yes.
So I think just that was the big thing and the turning point of don't stress the little stuff. I came out of there with so many positives of actually what we had, we had 200 members that we're helping every day feel better about themselves in more ways than one. And I just kind of forgot that and got carried away with, like we said, a little pebble.
Yeah.
So
I think it's really, it's great insight and great advice. And I think often in our earlier years in business, as you get older and wiser, you tend to see it for what it is. But we think the fallout is going to be much greater than what it is, right?
Absolutely.
And so we think this team member is irreplaceable. And, if they leave, then the whole business is going to fall over. Guess what? It's far bigger than them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we delay the uncomfortable. We don't want to have the hard conversations, make the tough decisions, yet they're the decisions necessary to get to that next level.
100%. Yeah. If you can't make tough decisions, you shouldn't be in business. That's just the reality.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
We've talked a little about You've made good hires, you've made bad hires, you've kept people on too long, you could have done more to keep good people. Give us some insights into you as a leader, you as a manager of people, some of the lessons that you've learnt, because you have made mistakes, you haven't always got it right. What have been some of the kind of like founding principles that you now kind of live by to ensure that you get it right more often than not moving forward?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things now I stand by, actually, if we are hiring or we're doing interviews, I actually, I do my interviews as more of it's a sit down conversation. I like to know the person. And in those interviews, one of the first things I say to them is I say, I'm a straight shooter. I'll tell you how it is. And I like it to be the same. So if you're the kind of person that would tiptoe around things, just telling you early on, that's not how I like to operate. And the reason for that is because life lessons is being able to be direct as a manager, being able to be like, mate, you did that really good, and tell you that. But also, mate, you did that really bad, and tell you that. And not be uncomfortable about that. If someone, like, I know often people, I see it all the time, people being like, oh, I subcontracted some work for this studio and I haven't been paid. How do I approach it? And I'm like, talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, if you just have to have those conversations, be direct. Like, life's busy. I've got 2 young kids now as well. Like, I don't want to be having conversations that, I don't really know the full story of. Like, give me the full story. Like, we can work it out, or we'll at least try to. But I think just direct conversations, and that's how I like to be as a leader, is I'll tell you when you're doing good, and I'll tell you when you've got things you need to work on. Both might sound the same when I say them to you, but that's the way I am. But also, I want you to do the same to me. If you're not happy with something that I've done or that I'm doing or how I'm operating, or you have an idea, bring it to me. I'm not going to shut you down. I'm not going to yell at you. Like, I'm not perfect. God, no, I'm not perfect. Ask my wife. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me as a leader, is really being able to go direct. And that obviously ties back into the tough conversations as well, because being direct sometimes can feel a little tough because you have to talk about things that might not be comfortable. But when you lay that outline, like you lay that out from the start, tough conversations are not tough.
And it's the expectation that you've set at the beginning.
Yep.
And you've built a culture around radical candor. And I think it's very, very valuable because there's no charade. There's no charades. There's no sugar coating. It's like, hey, here's the opportunity for you to get better. And you're actually doing the greatest thing you can as a leader by giving them that true honesty.
Yeah.
Because now they've got something to work on and improve. How they interpret that is up to them.
Yep.
They can take it and they can get better. They can take it and they can sook and they can cry. Well, they're not going to be the right fit for you anyway.
Correct.
Yeah. And it goes, as you said, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You've built a phenomenal culture. I've been observing, for many, many years. I've worked with you closely as well. And you've built a phenomenal culture, both within the members, but also the team as well. What are some of the kind of foundational principles you've built that culture on? How have you done so?
Feedback. I think the number one thing for me is to build the culture of our brand is member feedback. I had a member reach out to me on Tuesday this week wanting to have just saying, like, I just was wondering if you had a bit of time for a chat. Had a coffee with them yesterday. Said, hey, just because I'm not coaching, like, they've been a member there for a long, long time. They're used to me, obviously, having been around. Reached out, we went and sat down, had a coffee within 24 hours, and they were able to talk to me about a few things, positives, constructive feedback, things to take away. And I just said to them, I said, thank you. I said, I appreciate that, because without this feedback, we can't grow. We can't improve. We can't make sure that your experience here is phenomenal.
And how have you created a culture where they feel comfortable enough to say, hey, Matt, I've got some feedback for you? How have you invited that? Similarly
to the way that I do with when I'm interviewing staff, sort of saying, hey, I'm an open door policy, talk to me about anything. There's no silly questions. There's no need to feel uncomfortable. Whatever it is, bring it to me like I will to you. And I do the same. Like, if a member's doing something that they shouldn't be, I'm happy to say it to them. If a member's doing well, I say it to them. But I also reach out to 3 members as a minimum. That's my standard, 3 members every single week. I pick at least one morning, one evening, and then I'll pick someone who's a bit of a floater directly, and I reach out to them personally and ask them for feedback. And so by doing that as well, like, if I do that 3 a week over the year. That's, I'm reaching out to majority of our members, or 2/3 to 75% of our members. And they feel, or like I get the reception from them that they feel privileged to be asked. And they do. And it's almost every single time I have a phone call, majority of the time there's positive. But if anyone's got something, go, actually, you know what? And that happens quite a bit. Actually, you know what? There was something like this. And I go, awesome. Thanks for that. Like, we can try and work on that. We can try and improve that. It might be something to do with programming. It might be something to do with the time of a class, whatever it might be. But everything comes back to us and we take it on board. And I think that reflects on why our community is so strong.
I absolutely love that, because a lot of the time people will go, oh, feedback is the breakfast of champions. It's important. It is. But then how are you adopting that and then making it practical within the organization itself? So you're very purposeful. You're like 3 a week.
Yep.
It's 150 by the end of the year. It's a good chunk of our community. They feel heard. They feel valuable. I actually get feedback that enables me to improve the service and the product and the experience itself.
Yep. Yeah.
Very valuable. Very valuable. You've had to take a lot of risks. So the first risk is you had to go all in and give your last $500.
Yeah.
Then the risk, that at the time, that was a big risk. $500 is nothing now, but at the time, that's all you had.
Absolutely.
Then you had to go and sign a lease on a property. Then you had to go and fit it out. Recently, you've just gone and put in a beautiful reformer studio. And we were talking figures on the phone just a couple of days ago, and it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
So you continue to invest in the business. You continue to take risks. What helps you make these risks and reinvest into the business as opposed to just holding it tight?
I think for me, that's something I've always done, is reinvest into the business. So as I said back at the very beginning, I spent my last $500 on buying some equipment. And then once I sort of accrued a bit of money, I then went and bought some more equipment. And the story goes, I could fit all my equipment in the back of my little Mitsubishi Lancer that we spoke about. I then was like, okay, I got to the point where I couldn't fit all the equipment in there because I was buying more. So I had to tell my parents that they were going to have to park their cars on the driveway because I was going to put some equipment in their garage. And by tell them, I mean ask them. And so then I had equipment in the garage that was enough to take up one parking spot. And then I was like, okay, well now getting equipment to sessions, I have to upsize my car. So I did that. Then I got to the point where I had equipment in a shipping container at the church. Then I had a second shipping container at the church. Then we moved into the facility and bought more. So I was always reinvesting back into the business sort of since day one, just on different scales. And I look at the $500 versus the figures we spoke about the other day. Now it's a much bigger figure. But I think for me, it comes back to it's reinvesting in the business and reinvesting in the purpose of what we're trying to do. And we're trying to be that facility that offers you everything that can help you feel better. And so, Reformer Pilates has exploded. There's no secret to that. I think if you said Reformer Pilates is cool 5 years ago and you're a male, everyone would kind of be like,
what are you talking about?
What?
Yeah.
And now like it's everywhere, and it's such an important modality of training. And I think for us that being able to incorporate that for our members now that, we get I think any business owner that is in this industry would know you get members all the time that have got ankle problems, knee problems, hip problems, core problems, women post-pregnancy with pelvic floor and everything. Like you have that. And so to be able to offer another service within our brand, within our facility that can just give you another layer to your training, can give you another modality that you can't quite necessarily get off a reformer bed as well. It's kind of a no-brainer. Like it really allows us to make the product better.
But I love that the founding principle of all of it is how can we help our clients feel better? Now, obviously, there's commercials to it. You're making sure that these are very calculated, that we can derive more yield per member and the profitability goes up. But the underlying principle is let's help our members feel better.
100%. Like, of course, at the end of the day, it's a business. This provides for me and my family. So it has to be profitable, right?
Yeah.
We're not in the position to be able to go, we're not a charity. We can't just go, here you go. Definitely profitability, but also it as we said, it allows that experience. And this is probably one of your many key phrases you say, that we're not in the fitness industry, we're in the experience industry. And it's so true. And it allows us to make sure that experience is that much better.
I've loved seeing the journey of both you and MGF, not Matt Gorman Fitness anymore. My good feeling.
Yep.
What does the future hold?
Oh, it's the $1 million question, isn't it? It's funny because you asked me this question 12 months ago. I'd say, ask me next week, it'll be something different. Ask me the week before, it'll be something different.
You've always got ideas.
So many different ideas. I'm an ideas man, and any of my friends and family will tell you that.
Yeah.
If you asked me this question before kids, I'd say I want to be that name that everyone knows. I want to be, there's an MGF on every corner. That's the last thing I want now. I do not want to be an MGF on every corner. And there's a couple of reasons to that. And one is quality over quantity. You just, I don't really care what anyone says about, you can have 500 studios and the quality's perfect in all. It's not.
Bigger is not always better.
Bigger is not always better. Absolutely. I think being able to maintain quality over quantity is huge. And for me, that's a priority. But I also now have 2 young kids. So my preferences, my time preferences have completely shifted. You know, before kids, it's like, cool, it's me, there's my partner, she works in corporate. It's like, yep, cool. Outside of work, when we get time, we've got time for ourselves, that's it. But now, you know, I've got 2 young kids and you blink and it feels like it's another one's having a birthday. So for me, it's being able to maximize this time with my kids when they still want to hang out with me and I'm still cool to them. Because soon enough, I won't be cool to them.
Your little one's not going to have a mullet for long.
He's not going to have a mullet for long. I've tried the best to hide mine in this. Anyone watching? But I think the big thing for me is I never close doors to opportunities. I'm always open to the opportunities. And I think that's something to always do, to always have. When you're an entrepreneur, you kind of always do that. You never really close the door to anything. But right now, for me, actually, one of the big things I've missed is actually coaching. It's one of the, I was doing all of the coaching in the beginning, and I only coach over the last 12 months. I only coach when I have coaches go on leave. But I've missed it. So I'm actually going to be diving back into coaching a little bit. I'm actually flying out to Bali very soon, and then I will be diving back into coaching just a little bit, just picking and choosing my times, just a couple of mornings, just to get back hands-on, get that member engagement myself. I miss it. Like when I train in there, like I get it and it's awesome, but just to be on the other side of it and just maybe remind them a little bit that I can still make them hurt a little and feel good at the same time. But outside of the gym space and the Pilates space, I am exploring a few opportunities at the moment to grow. So still working in business. I don't think I can go and work for someone else anymore.
You're unemployable, mate.
No, who would? Yeah, you're right. Who would employ me? I sometimes wonder if I'd employ me. I'm just stuck with me.
I always say to people, it's like I'm forever stuck working for myself. No one's going to employ this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a couple of doors there, and it's a matter of which one I walk through. At the moment,
watch this space.
At the moment, they're both just a little bit open. Maybe I'll push one and pull one. Maybe I'll pull them both. Maybe I'll push them both. So watch this space.
Yeah, I like that the goals and the vision. Obviously, why we exist hasn't changed, and that will remain unchanged. But the multiple locations or the hundreds of locations has changed because your life's priorities have changed as well. And I've seen you become a dad and a very dedicated one at that. And it's like, well, how can I build a great business, but at the same time make sure that it doesn't rob from my kids? And if I was to, go back to that one on every corner, that's inevitably going to happen. So how can we bring that vision to life, make sure that we do the best possible job, but there's got to be alignment with what is important day to day for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a blessing that I'm in a position where I can pick and choose the things that I do want to do. And
it's one of that's freedom, right? Freedom is not sitting on the beach with your laptop. Freedom is the ability to pick and choose the things that you love most and to do them with the people that you love most as well. Matt, one of the questions that we love to ask all our guests here on Profit Made Simple is, what is the best piece of advice you've either been given or received?
Yes, I do know you asked this question. So I've been waiting for this. One of the best bits of advice that I've ever been given, it actually was a conversation with my dad. My dad and I weren't super close growing up. But as I got a bit older, Dad and I got closer. And once I had kids, like any parent, once you have kids, you look at your parents differently because you realize everything that they've done and been through and all the things they tell you.
Sacrifices.
Go, wow. And it's crazy because I was always super close with Mum, and my parents are together. That was just the way the relationship was. But not long after I had my firstborn, my dad and I sat down and we're actually just sitting down having a beer. It was on Father's Day and we were talking about things. And he said to me, he goes, "Never ever sit at a table where you or your family are not welcome, even if it's my own." And I've actually seen that pop up somewhere in social media world since as well. And so I don't know if he's got that because he's not the greatest on social media where he's got that from, but it's something that's always resonated with me as well. And I think about some of the things we've spoken about today where, you know, in business, sometimes you feel like you're in positions where you don't necessarily feel like you belong. You don't necessarily feel like it's the right fit. And yeah, I guess that's something that's always just stuck with me is.
That's powerful. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing some very wise words. Absolutely loved this conversation. It's been amazing. Thank you for being so generous with your insights. I just want to acknowledge you. In the many years we've known each other, you've grown as a man, you've grown as a father, you've grown as a leader. And I want to just give you credit for that. It's been exceptional to see. You've become a great entrepreneur. You've got a wonderful community, both of team and also clients. And that's a real credit to the person that you've become over the last few years.
Thanks, mate. It's very nice. Might get to be teary now. It's quite a nice thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
MG, there's going to be a lot of people out there that have loved this conversation. They'll want to get to know you a little bit better, want to get to know the brand a little bit better. How can they do so?
So the brand itself, we've got a website, mygoodfeeling.au, no.com, just .au. Myself personally, Instagram is probably my main funnel at the moment. I'm trying to, my social media guy's telling me he wants me to grow my profile. So I'm working on that at the moment. So feel free to give me some criticism, guys. I'm all for constructive feedback on that. But that's Matt Gorman followed by a triple underscore. So just 3 underscores afterwards. It kind of details my life with my kids, the business, training.
Fantastic.
Find us there.
Well, let's make sure we do that. Thank you for sharing your journey on Profit Made Simple today. If you've enjoyed listening to this, watching this, thank you so much for doing so. If you got value, then please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and help more people watch and view this so they can have more income, more impact, and more freedom. Thank you so much.
Thank you.